July 26, 2018, a fire inspector named Jeremy Stoke radioed his location on Buenaventura Boulevard in Redding, California. He said he was getting burned over. He asked for a water drop. Nobody answered. He was 37 years old. He had cut his vacation 4 days short to come back and make sure his neighbors got out. They did. He didn't. Jeremy Stoke wasn't a firefighter on the line. He was a prevention inspector, the man who drives through neighborhoods during an evacuation to check the driveways, knock on the last doors, make sure the elderly woman on the corner has a ride. He coached youth sports in his spare time. He knew these streets by heart. When the car fire ignited on July 23rd, he was on vacation. He came back 4 days early. Nobody ordered him to. What he drove into that evening was something no warning system in the United States was equipped to describe. Redding sits in the northern Sacramento Valley, locked between mountain ranges on both sides. By July, the hills surrounding the city are covered in dried grass and brittle brush. The air smells of dust and something older, kindling, waiting for a reason. The summer of 2018 had been relentless. A record heat wave pushed temperatures past 110 degrees for days. On July 26th, the thermometer hit 113. Step outside, and the heat isn't uncomfortable. It's physical, pressing against your skin like something with weight. The air was doing half the fire's work before a single flame touched it. On July 23rd, a trailer tire blew out on State Route 299 west of Redding. The steel rim scraped asphalt. The sparks caught the roadside brush almost instantly. The car fire had begun. For 2 days, it was large but manageable. That changed on the afternoon of July 26th. A weather system to the north pushed strong winds southward, and at approximately 5:30 p.m., the fire transitioned from fuel-driven to wind-driven, one of the most dangerous states a wildfire can enter. Direction becomes unpredictable. Speed becomes lethal. The fire stops following the rules anyone trained for. Almost no one on the ground realized it had already happened. The fire exploded eastward, 3 miles in 4 hours. It jumped the Sacramento River. Evacuation orders went to 38,000 residents. This is the moment Jeremy Stoke drove back toward the city. While Zeta Bila sat in evacuation traffic on the single road out of Lake Keswick Estates, feeling the heat through her car windows and telling her children to pray, Jeremy was driving in the opposite direction. Above the fire, something else was already forming. The car fire was releasing so much heat, it drove massive columns of gas and smoke punching through the upper atmosphere. At 7:20 p.m., while Jeremy was still on those streets, those columns shot from 6 miles to 12 miles above the earth in 15 minutes. They reached 39,000 feet, higher than commercial aircraft crews. The fire had stopped burning through the landscape. It was building its own weather system above it. Can a wildfire generate a tornado? Before July 26, 2018, most fire scientists would have called it theoretically possible, but practically unobserved in the United States. What happened next settled that question permanently. Wind shear near the surface combined with the massive updraft to organize existing rotation into a tightening vortex, the same process that builds a tornado inside a supercell thunderstorm. Except the supercell, in this case, was made entirely of fire. A study later published in Geophysical Research Letters found that radar had been recording signatures of the developing vortex for 45 minutes before it touched down. The instruments saw it coming. No protocol existed to act on what they were showing. Nobody had written those protocols because nobody had believed this was worth preparing for. That belief ended at 7:30 p.m. The fire tornado touched down near Land Park at approximately 7:30 p.m., 1,000 feet wide, 18,000 feet tall, winds of 143 miles per hour, EF3 strength, enough to level homes. An estimated 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit at its core, the melting point of steel. It was the strongest tornado ever recorded in California history. The second true fire tornado ever scientifically documented anywhere in the world. And it was moving through a city of 90,000 people on streets where Jeremy Stoke was still doing his rounds. The destruction it left looked nothing like a wildfire. Trees stripped of bark and snapped at the trunk. Transmission towers engineered for extreme loads collapsed. A steel pipe found wrapped around a tree. Homes the fire had never touched, roofs gone, walls blown out. 3 bulldozer operators nearby had their cab windows shatter simultaneously. One of them reached 911. All the windows got blown out. I got my curtains down. I can't last too long here. If you can get out safely, get out. I can't. It's all on fire around us. Can I give you my wife's number? All 3 survived. Less than a mile away, Jeremy Stoke was already on the radio for the last time. At 7:39 p.m., he transmitted his location. He asked for a water drop. He said he was getting burned over. The official CAL FIRE investigation concluded that Jeremy Stoke suffered fatal traumatic injuries when entrapped in the fire tornado while engaged in community protection operations. Community protection operations. He was checking to make sure people had gotten out. He was found in the early morning hours of July 27th, the first firefighter in documented American history to die in a fire tornado. His colleagues said he was the kind of person who came back early from vacation, the kind of person who drove toward the danger to check on the neighbors. The radar had been recording the tornado for 45 minutes before it reached him. Nobody sent him a warning because nobody had written the protocol, because nobody had decided this scenario was worth preparing for. Jeremy Stoke paid for that decision with his life. The people who made it kept their jobs. Don Smith was 81 years old. He operated bulldozers for a living, contract work, cutting fire lines through terrain too steep for operators half his age. On the afternoon of July 26th, he was working above Spring Creek Reservoir, carving a containment line in the hills north of Redding. He had spent decades around fire. He knew what it looked like from a distance. What came for him that evening, he had never seen. At 6 p.m., a crew chief began trying to reach him by radio. No answer. 2 firefighters attempted to reach his position on foot. The fire pushed them back. 4 helicopters flew water drops through the smoke around his last known coordinates. The pilots could not see the ground. 1 helicopter's temperature warning light triggered at 6:08 p.m. It was forced to land. Don Smith and his open cab bulldozer were somewhere inside that smoke. Nobody could reach him. 11 miles to the south, 70-year-old Melody Bledsoe was on the phone with her husband Ed. She told him the tornado was directly overhead. Ed had evacuated earlier that day. He'd tried to get Melody out. She hadn't made it in time. He was still on the road when she called, and he could hear it in her voice, not panic, something worse than panic. Her 2 great-grandchildren were with her, James, 4 years old, Emily, 5. "Grandpa, please, you gotta come and help us. The fire's at the back door." Ed told his grandson to hold on, said he was right there, said Grandpa's coming. He couldn't get through. The roads were closed. By the time anyone reached that neighborhood, there was nothing left of the house. Melody Bledsoe and her 2 great-grandchildren did not survive. The tornado was on the ground for approximately 30 minutes. In those 30 minutes, it moved through residential streets that had nothing to do with any fire line, neighborhoods where people had lived the week before. It demolished houses it never burned. Roofs gone, walls blown out by rotational wind that had no business existing inside a wildfire. The damage path looked like a tornado had passed through, because that is exactly what had passed through. When the smoke finally lifted enough for aircraft to survey Don Smith's last position, a pilot spotted his bulldozer from the air. It had been completely engulfed. There was no sign of the metallic fire shelter that firefighters deploy as a last resort. Either he hadn't had time to deploy it, or it hadn't mattered. Don Smith did not survive. The Car Fire tornado killed 4 people directly: Jeremy Stoke, Don Smith, Melody Bledsoe, James, age 4, Emily, age 5. The fire as a whole killed 8, destroyed 1,604 structures, burned 229,651 acres. The tornado itself was on the ground for half an hour. 4 lives in 30 minutes, lost to something with no name in any warning system, no entry in any emergency manual, no place in any training program that existed before that evening. The people on those streets weren't unprepared for wildfire. Nobody had prepared them for this. The Car Fire burned for 5 more weeks. It was contained on August 30th. By then, half of historic French Gulch was gone. All but 2 houses in Keswick, entire neighborhoods of Reading that had existed for generations, cleared in a single night by a storm the city had no language for. In the months that followed, researchers published a detailed analysis of the event in geophysical research letters. Their finding was precise and damning. The radar had been recording the vortex for 45 minutes before it touched down. The data existed. A warning was physically possible. The protocol did not exist because no one had written it, because no one had decided this was worth preparing for. After the study, CAL FIRE rewrote its training materials. Jeremy Stoke's name is now in wildfire safety programs across California. The danger to personnel far from the fire line, inspectors, contract operators, anyone working in the path of something that moves like a tornado, is now a documented category of risk. That is what changed. Here is what didn't. The conditions that built that tornado return every summer: the heat, the drought, the fuel, the wind shear above a fire burning hot enough to punch through the upper atmosphere. None of that has been engineered away. None of it is getting rarer. Fire crews now train for the possibility. They watch the radar differently. They know the signatures. But the radar saw this one coming for 45 minutes, and Jeremy Stoke had 9 minutes from touchdown. Melody Bledsoe had less. Don Smith may have had none. The training didn't change that math. It just made sure that the next person in that position knows, before it arrives, exactly what is coming for them. Ed Bledsoe knows what it means to be told to hold on. He was on the road, trying to get back, when the tornado passed over his house, his wife, his great-grandchildren. He knows exactly what holding on looked like from the outside, and what it cost.